11 Live News at noon starts now.
Starting with the latest on Tropical Storm Ian, this is a look right now at radars. We are tracking this storm as it moves into our area. The entire state of Georgia is officially under a state of emergency with all eyes on the coast right now. But first, let's get a live look right now from St. Augustine, Florida. That is nearly 3 hours south of Savannah. Just look at these waves crashing on shore and that camera shaking. The peak winds there are forecasted between 25 and 35 miles per hour with gusts up to 60 miles per hour. And just in, as the East Coast now braces for impact, we are getting a look at some of the damage the storms has already left behind. This is new video coming at you right now from Fort Myers, Florida, where you can see that storm surge from Ian. The town is on Florida's Gulf Coast, where the storm first made landfall as a major Category 4 hurricane. You can see cars and roads completely submerged. Yeah, that's supposed to be land there, not all that water. It was a similar scene about an hour south in Naples. Water from the ocean rushing onto the beach and into the roads. People's belongings and other debris just swept into the trees. There was even an entire refrigerator just floating down the road. And today in Orlando, part of the Florida Turnpike is closed because of all those floodwaters. It is shut down in both directions for about a 13-mile stretch. No word on when it will reopen, but troopers say it will stay closed until Ian is fully passed and the floodwaters go back down. New at noon here at home, Governor Kemp is making sure Georgia is ready for any impacts from Ian. He says a state of emergency officially went into effect at 7 this morning. State operations are now at full-scale activation with state agencies on standby, ready to deploy to those affected counties. The focus right now, though, is on the southeast coast. The governor says at this time, the Savannah airport remains open at the port terminal and will continue operations until 6 p.m. tonight. In the meantime, they are keeping their eyes and every resource on the storm.
Now that it's made landfall, it's certainly breaking up, but it's still been a devastating storm. It's a big weather event. As you can see on the TV screens, it's been devastating in Florida, and we should not take anything for granted here. This team is certainly not, and I would urge Georgia citizens to be over-prepared, and hopefully this storm under-delivers.
A rising tide and an approaching tropical storm Ian are a potentially dangerous and deadly combination. Take a look at how the waves here on Tybee Island are being affected, lapping up against the pier here. They're getting stronger by the minute, it seems. We still have some folks trying to snap a picture or two before things really get bad here on the island, but we can tell you that Ian is the worst of it anyway. Is supposed to roll on in later tonight into Friday, and the worst, we're talking about possible tornadoes, wind gusts definitely picking up, potential flash flooding. Already we have heard from some locals here that the flooding could be so bad roads could shut down as early as tomorrow. We'll keep you posted here, but for now, I'm Joe Ripley in Tybee Island.
All right, Joe, thank you. Let's bring in meteorologist Melissa Nord right now for the latest on Ian's path. At one point there, with looking at Joe right there off of the beach, he lost his breath because all that strong, intense wind just slapping him in the face.
And you know, about an hour ago, Aisha, they had high tide there, and I expect the high tide that happens after 11 tonight to show a lot more storm surge coming in from tropical storm, which will then be Hurricane Ian again right along Tybee Island. This is new, okay? The center of Ian is now off the coast of Florida, and there's now a hurricane warning for the coast of South Carolina. Also, the water's just off the Georgia coast under a hurricane warning, but we've still got that tropical storm warning inland that stretches all the way from Savannah all the way down to the state line near Jacksonville. So it is a mean storm. A live look again at our St. Augustine camera where you can see the waves crashing over the sea while there's one idiot out there, I'll just call him an idiot, standing outside, because it's not just the wave action, but the actual water rise has been pushing water up along the coast of the first coast there in Florida, and also pushing that water up along the Georgia coastline, and will be pushing the water up in the Carolinas along the coast as well. But here's the center of Ian right now. Winds are up to 70 miles per hour. It passed just over Cape Canaveral, where they were supposed to launch Artemis on Tuesday, and they put it into shelter. That was a space shuttle to go to the moon. And this now is going to become a hurricane again before making that next and final landfall somewhere near Charleston or Beaufort, South Carolina. So here's the latest track, 11 o'clock update, becoming a hurricane by this evening and then making landfall tomorrow right around midday when we're on air tomorrow near Charleston. Charleston floods very easy on a sunny day during high tides. They could have some significant flooding there. Then it moves inland. And you notice here how the track is now fully out of Georgia for the center of the storm. It doesn't mean we won't see impacts, but as we've been tracking these changes in the models the last couple of days, the extent of those impacts we see are going to be a lot less. So we're going to see some showers, some gusty winds from Ian that will build in as we head into the day tomorrow. But how far does that rain get to the west? Does it get into the metro? Does it stay in East Georgia? I'll break down all of that, talk about your weekend in detail as well in my full forecast. Aisha?
We'll see you then, Melissa. Thank you. And don't forget, Ian is making some changes to this week's high school football schedule. It's going to be Thursday night lights tonight for many schools across the metro. That includes DeKalb, Clayton, and Atlanta Public Schools. We have a full list of schools and those new game times on 11alive.com. Students in Clayton County will also switch to virtual learning tomorrow out of an abundance of caution. To keep up with all things Ian, you can text the number you see right there, and we will send you the latest storm updates straight to your phone. All you have to do is text the word Ian to 404-885-7600. New at noon, lawyers for rapper Gunna, whose real name is Sergio Kitchens, are asking a judge to reconsider bond. 11Alive's Karis Belger has been poring over the court documents this morning. She's here now with a breakdown of those documents for us, Karis.
This is the third time the bond motion has been filed by Gunna's attorney. He's arguing the only serious charge that would warrant the rapper being denied bond was dropped last month by the district attorney's office. I spoke earlier with attorney Daryl Cohen about this, and in the argument he described that Gunna's attorney argued the prosecution failed to show sufficient evidence that Gunna should be denied bond. He and multiple other defendants are accused of being involved in the Young Slime Life gang. We asked attorney Daryl Cohen for more insight on this. He broke down some of the factors that could play into the judge's decision.
If a judge is concerned that someone may be harmed or threatened, intimidated as a result of Gunna being released on bond, that judge will in all likelihood say no bond. And a judge does not really have to give his or her feelings as to why. They can just they hear the motion, they decide and make a decision.
Cohen said if a judge decided to grant this request, it would be likely that the amount would be a high one.
Karis, thank you. Developing today, it started as a reported suicide. Now a Roswell man is in handcuffs. That call came in last Thursday to a home on Oak Haven Drive. Investigators say 82-year-old Bruce Miller told them his wife, 80-year-old Judith Miller, had taken her own life. He reportedly told officers a stab wound on her body was self-inflicted. An investigation and autopsy later ruled Judith's death was a homicide. On Wednesday, detectives in Roswell arrested Bruce Miller on several charges, including felony murder. Right now, police are trying to figure out who dropped off a shooting victim at the Atlanta Medical Center less than 24 hours ago. Atlanta police shared these images of the two men who might be involved. You can see one is wearing a gray tracksuit and a hat. The other is wearing a black shirt, black pants with an electric blue jacket and blue and white sneakers. Police say that shooting victim was dropped off shortly after noon yesterday in critical condition. If you know who these men are, please call Atlanta police. Still to come, it is a form of cancer that causes more deaths than any other form of the disease. As the medical community shines the spotlight on it this month, we're going to share the inspiring journey of a woman and her medical miracle.
To use near me.
11Alive News at 11 p.m. is where you find out what's happening now across Metro Atlanta.
We begin tonight with breaking news out of Cobb County, where a neighborhood is now...
Where you stay a step ahead of severe weather.
Our storm risk has now been upgraded to a...
And the only place where you can verify fact versus fiction.
11Alive can verify that claim is false.
11Alive News at 11 p.m. Where you end the day ready to take on tomorrow. Weather can't run from the 11Alive Thunder Truck. A mobile weather center with the power and speed to chase down the strongest storms and bring you on-the-ground conditions. The 11Alive Thunder Truck, sponsored by Landmark Dodge. Fighting social inequality is on all of us. That's why 11Alive is committed to sharing diverse perspectives, exposing injustice, and finding solutions. Voices for Equality, sponsored by Georgia Power and our other partners.
The 11Alive StormTrackers. It's how you see weather happening now across Metro Atlanta.
These severe storms are now closing in.
We could be talking about damaging winds, hail, and
How you can plan ahead by knowing what's coming overhead.
Heavy storms are rolling in.
Expect pop-up thunderstorms and rain all day long.
And how you'll be weather ready wherever you are.
We expect at any moment a tornado warning could be issued.
The 11Alive StormTrackers. It's how you'll be prepared and stay safe. 11Alive Morning News.
We began with breaking news this
is
morning.
where you know what's happening now.
11Alive is live on the scene.
Where you can confidently plan ahead
This severe weather is intensifying.
by knowing what's coming overhead. And where Atlanta's traffic expert
We've seen delays almost 30 minutes worth of
helps you get there on time, every time. 11Alive Morning News is where you start the day prepared. Watch weekdays 5 to 7 a.m.
If you see breaking news or severe weather near you, snap it and share it using Near Me on the 11Alive News app. Want to verify if something's true or false? Record your question and send it. Download the 11Alive News app to use Near Me.
11Alive News at 11 p.m. is where you find out what's happening now across Metro Atlanta.
we begin tonight with breaking news out of Cobb County, where a neighborhood is now
Where you stay a step ahead of severe weather.
Our storm risk has now been upgraded to a...
And the only place where you can verify.
This month is Gynecologic Cancer Awareness Month. Ovarian cancer is often detected late, so it causes more deaths than other cancers. Today, our Cheryl Preheim shares the story of one Metro Atlanta woman who says she's proof miracles are possible.
It's an amazing story.
Some experiences just bond you for life. That's true for Hope Mavridis and Dr. Davis.
I literally cried. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy for you.
Still so surreal.
For so long, each visit to Piedmont Fayette Hospital was hard and scary.
She's one of my miracles that's like, oh, thank God.
This time, Hope is back celebrating what long felt impossible. She was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer in both an ovary and her uterus. Treatment had to be fast and aggressive. The final step was going to be a hysterectomy, a surgery that would end Hope's dream of ever being pregnant.
The day before, she called me right here in my office and she was like, you know, I've been thinking about it and I feel like the Lord is telling me I shouldn't do it. Is there any other way we can treat it?
Hope asked Dr. Davis if she'd consider leaving the organs needed to carry a baby. Dr. Davis couldn't make a promise other than she would try. She knew how much Hope wanted to be a mom.
I woke up from surgery, and the first thing that I asked the nurse, I was like, is everything gone? And she was like, no. She was like, Dr. Davis left your uterus and your ovary. I was like, Dr. Davis had the faith to treat me the best that she could and give me a chance.
Tears of gratefulness. Hope's baby is due in November.
I have a love for Dr. Davis that I can't explain because she is an angel.
So I'm happy that, you know, Hope had a chance and here she is able to be a mom.
It is indeed a beautiful outcome for Hope, but doctors tell us the number of these types of cancers is rising. Dr. Mitzi Ann Davis says the symptoms are subtle, but you can look out for changes in your body like postmenopausal bleeding, bloating, change of bathroom habits, loss of appetite, and getting full fast even when you just ate. We have new details this afternoon following the death of Queen Elizabeth. The UK monarch died September 8th at the age of 96. The National Records of Scotland just released her death certificate, which lists her cause of death as old age. She passed away peacefully at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. Her son Charles III has ascended to the throne. Taking a live look right now at Tybee Island, courtesy of our Earth Cam. We are tracking Ian as it could bring damaging winds to coastal parts of Georgia, like Bryan County. Families there are worried they're going to get slammed again. This is after a devastating tornado just about 6 months ago. Schools in Bryan County are closed today and tomorrow as that area is under a tropical storm watch. 11Alive's Jerry Carnes talked to locals who say they feel like they're reliving a nightmare.
Nolan Driggers and his family have been through enough.
Between getting hurt at work, you know, the complications with my back surgery, the tornado, and now this, it just seems like we're constantly getting hit with something lately.
His 2 young daughters, 4-year-old Kenzie and 8-year-old Zoe, can't stop thinking about Hurricane Ian that's threatening to bring damaging wind and rain to their area of Georgia. They're still shaken by the horrifying experience of living through a tornado that flipped the Driggers' home upside down less than 6 months ago.
I don't even know how we survived. I can't explain it other than God saved us. Every time we have an afternoon thunderstorm, my kids, they both start crying, worrying, won't get out my arms. That's what's got me worried about this hurricane.
The April tornado came just a short time after Nolan injured his back at work. He didn't have insurance to replace his home.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Charities, including God's Pit Crew and a local gun store, bought the family a completely furnished new home.
I've believed in God my whole life. I've had faith, but that tornado really made me get right.
Ian could put the Driggers through it all again. Nolan isn't as worried about his home as he is his family.
Can't really afford to run out of town right now the way things are, but then again, I'm thinking I don't have a choice.
Adding to his worries, his son Nolan Jr., seen here on the right, is in Florida to help put the state back together after Ian is finished there.
Nolan and his son both work for property restoration companies. Nolan says if his back wasn't injured, he'd be in Florida right now post-Ian for cleanup efforts. Right now, Georgia is housing Ian evacuees. Governor Kemp has even opened up our state's parks for people looking for shelter. And Atlanta Motor Speedway has family camping spots available too. Melissa, it is so great to see the response even as we anticipate the impact and what we could see here in Georgia.
Yeah, and the response that they're going to need down in parts of Florida is not just going to be something that's for a few days. It's going to take a very long time for things to rebuild. I mean, there's entire roadways washed out down near Fort Myers. We're looking live again. This is St. Augustine Beach, the pier right here. You see the waves crashing over the seawall and the storm surge coming up as well, that water pushing up. And this is where we're seeing the wrath of Ian today. But by tomorrow at this time, we're going to see that wrath pushing further up the Atlantic coast into Georgia and South Carolina. Let me show you the latest on Ian. The track at 11 o'clock has it now off the coast, the center of it. And this is going to become a hurricane again. So now we have some hurricane warnings out for the coast of South Carolina. And Georgia still under that tropical storm warning for our coastal counties. It's going to make landfall as a Category 1 hurricane near Charleston. Then you notice as it moves inland, it of course will eventually fall apart. But meanwhile, the track of this storm has shifted further and further east day by day. So what that means for us ultimately is a better case scenario. It means we are going to see some impacts from Ian, but we are not going to see high impacts, I don't think, by any means. Look at this rainfall totals map. This kind of tells the story of where the rain and all of that heavy rain potential will stay, and that's mainly in Augusta and Point East. That's where they could see 3-5 inches of rain easily, but in the metro area now I'm thinking it's going to be less than an inch at best. Out near Athens, Gainesville, up towards northeast Georgia, we could see locally 1 to 2 inches of rain, and that's where I think this rain will be steadiest. But even though we won't all see the rain from Ian, what we are going to get the next couple of days are some gusty winds. And even though it's sunny outside right now, why it's gusty today is because we're being squeeze played in between Ian and then a big area of high pressure. So the winds around Ian go counterclockwise. The winds around this high go clockwise, and look what we're stuck with in the middle. These winds are speeding up as they're pushing into North Georgia around those two systems. So we have a wind advisory for the I-85 corridor and points east today. Now, it won't be as windy as they're going to see in the tropical storm, but we could have some gusts up to 35 miles per hour in these areas, and you'll notice throughout the afternoon those wind gusts keep picking up, but we will not see as high of winds up in northwest Georgia, where it'll just be a breezy day out. So some wind gusts today could be 30 to 35 miles per hour. As they push this forecast track out, I want to show you Friday and Saturday's winds, because the next 3 days we just keep these gusty winds going. We'll have some gusts Friday and Saturday that could also be over 20 to 25 miles per hour. So it's not enough to where you have to secure all your loose objects outside, but you know, it might blow an empty trash can around in one of those strongest wind gusts, and some small limbs, of course, that are weak or decaying already on the tree could fall off from these gusty winds over 3 days straight. So our impacts here in the metro area, rain totals could be up to an inch. Some of us will not even get 1/10 of an inch of rain. But out in East Georgia and Northeast Georgia, the rain totals could be about 1 to 2 inches. Gusts could be 20 to 30 miles per hour. And I think that severe weather threat is going to stay well east of our area. I'm not expecting a tornado threat from Ian. We're not on, quote, the dirty side of the storm. We're on the cleaner side of the storm. So this puts everything in motion into perspective. You see how a lot of us experience the sunshine this afternoon? Well, as we go into tomorrow, some of that cloud cover starts to push a little bit further east. We'll start your Friday dry, but then in the afternoon, especially east of Atlanta, the 75 corridor, we'll see some rain, some showers building in. And then into Friday night, that's when I think we see the best coverage of some of these showers, maybe even for some areas in Northeast Georgia, some steady rain moving in. Now with Ian moving a little bit quicker, Saturday morning, there's some lingering showers and wraparound moisture, but by Saturday afternoon, we're going to be drying things out already. Look at our live picture downtown, midtown. Camera's shaking a bit. It's breezy out there. We've had some gusts over the last couple of hours, over 20 miles per hour. We're going to be in the 70s this afternoon. Again, tomorrow afternoon, we start to see some of those showers moving in. I've got some showers exiting early Saturday, and then you notice conditions improve for the second half of the weekend. So not a washout, Aisha, but still some impacts from Ian here locally.
All right, Melissa, thank you. Right now, time is running out for U.S. lawmakers to avoid a government shutdown. We have new details from Capitol Hill next.
11Alive Thunder Truck, sponsored by Landmark Dodge. Fighting social inequality is on all of us. That's why 11Alive is committed to sharing diverse perspectives, exposing injustice, and finding solutions. Voices for Equality, sponsored by Georgia Power and our other partners.
The 11Alive StormTrackers. It's how you see weather happening now across Metro Atlanta.
These severe storms are now closing in.
We could be talking about damaging winds, hail, and
How you can plan ahead by knowing what's coming overhead.
Heavy storms are rolling in.
Expect pop-up thunderstorms and rain all day long.
And how you'll be weather ready wherever you are.
We expect at any moment a tornado warning could be issued.
The 11Alive StormTrackers. It's how you'll be prepared and stay safe. 11Alive Morning News.
We began with breaking news this morning.
Is where you know what's happening now.
11Alive is live on the scene.
Where you can confidently plan ahead
This severe weather is intensifying.
by knowing what's coming overhead. And where Atlanta's traffic expert
We've seen delays almost 30 minutes worth of
helps you get there on time, every time. 11Alive Morning News is where you start the day prepared. Watch weekdays 5 to 7 a.m.
If you see breaking news or severe weather near you, snap it and share it using Near Me on the 11Alive News app. Want to verify if something's true or false? Record your question and send it. Download the 11Alive News app to use Near Me.
11Alive News at 11 p.m. is where you find out what's happening now across Metro Atlanta.
we begin tonight with breaking news out of Cobb County, where a neighborhood is now...
Where you stay a step ahead of severe weather.
Our storm risk has now been upgraded to a...
And the only place where you can verify fact versus fiction.
11Alive can verify that claim is false.
11Alive News at 11 p.m. Where you end the day ready to take on tomorrow.
Weather can't run from the 11Alive Thunder Truck. A mobile weather center with the power and speed to chase down the strongest storms and bring you on-the-ground conditions. The 11Alive Thunder Truck, sponsored by Landmark Dodge. Fighting social inequality is on all of us. That's why 11Alive is committed to sharing diverse perspectives, exposing injustice, and finding solutions. Voices for Equality, sponsored by Georgia Power and our other partners.
The 11Alive 11Alive StormTrackers. It's how you see weather happening now across Metro Atlanta.
These severe storms are now closing in.
We could be talking about damaging winds, hail, and
How you can plan ahead by knowing what's coming overhead.
Heavy storms are rolling in.
Expect pop-up thunderstorms and rain all day long.
And how you'll be weather ready wherever you are.
We expect at any moment a tornado warning could be issued.
The 11Alive Storm.
Right now, Congress is rushing to avoid a federal government shutdown. Both chambers have to pass a funding bill and get the president's signature before tomorrow. Otherwise, the government will run out of money. Here's Amy Colley with details on the last-minute scramble.
The clock is ticking for lawmakers to avoid a government shutdown. Time runs out on Friday.
We must work fast to finish the process here on the floor, send a CR to the House, and then send it to the president's desk.
The good news is both parties seem optimistic.
I think we've got this in the area where it should pass.
One sticking point came from Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. He had wanted to include a permitting review change to help a pipeline running through his state. He withdrew the proposal amid bipartisan opposition. The result was a funding plan that 72 senators supported during a procedural vote Tuesday.
The president asked for about $45 billion in the supplemental. We've now negotiated it down to about 17.
Those negotiations have continued right up to the final hours, a pattern in recent years.
That's how you know it's fall in the United States. When you can feel the first threat of government shutdown in the air.
Even if lawmakers pass the current plan, they'll only fund the government until December 16th.
Today in Metro Atlanta, 1 in 9 people are dealing with food insecurity. That's why Mayor Andre Dickens is working with the White House to make sure every family has healthy food options. The Biden administration announced Atlanta is one of 17 cities that has a new partnership with program DoorDash. Mayor Dickens says the company will work with cities to provide support through community credits, gift cards, and information on local food access needs. Project Dash also includes direct funding for food deliveries. Still ahead, we are tracking Ian as it treks from Florida up the East Coast. The latest on the storm, now expected to regain hurricane strength and the impacts it could have on Georgia. Next.
It's how you'll be prepared and stay safe. 11Alive Morning News.
We began with breaking news this morning.
Is where you know what's happening now.
11Alive is live on the scene.
Where you can confidently plan ahead.
This severe weather is intensifying.
By knowing what's coming overhead. And we're Atlanta's traffic expert.
We've seen delays almost 30 minutes worth of
helps you get there on time, every time. 11Alive Morning News is where you start the day prepared. Watch weekdays 5 to 7 a.m.
If you see breaking news or severe weather near you, snap it and share it using Near Me on the 11Alive News app. Want to verify if something's true or false? Record your question and send it. Download the 11Alive News app to use Near Me.
11Alive News at 11 p.m. is where you find out what's happening now across Metro Atlanta.
We begin tonight with breaking news out of Cobb County, where a neighborhood is now...
Where you stay a step ahead of severe weather.
Our storm risk has now been upgraded to a...
And the only place where you can verify fact versus fiction.
11Alive can verify that claim is false.
11Alive News at 11 p.m. Where you end the day ready to take on tomorrow.
Weather can't run from the 11Alive Thunder Truck. A mobile weather center with the power and speed to chase down the strongest storms and bring you on-the-ground conditions. The 11Alive Thunder Truck, sponsored by Landmark Dodge. Fighting social inequality is on all of us. That's why 11Alive is committed to sharing diverse perspectives, exposing injustice, and finding solutions. Voices for Equality, sponsored by Georgia Power and our other partners.
The 11Alive StormTrackers. It's how you see weather happening now across Metro Atlanta.
These severe storms are now closing in.
We could be talking about damaging winds, hail, and...
How you can plan ahead by knowing what's coming overhead.
Heavy storms are rolling in.
Expect pop-up thunderstorms and rain all day long.
And how you'll be weather ready wherever you are.
We expect at any moment a tornado warning could be issued.
The 11Alive StormTrackers. It's how you'll be prepared and stay safe. 11Alive Morning News.
We began with breaking news this morning.
Is where you know what's happening now.
11Alive is live on the scene.
Where you can confidently plan ahead.
This severe weather is intensifying.
By knowing what's coming overhead. And where Atlanta's traffic expert
We've seen delays almost 30 minutes worth of
helps you get there on time, every time. 11Alive Morning News is where you start the day prepared. Watch weekdays 5 to 7 a.m.
If you see breaking news or severe weather near you, snap it and share it using Near Me on the 11Alive News app. Want to verify if something's true or false? Record your question.
Right now we are tracking Tropical Storm Ian. That storm now expected to become a hurricane again before making landfall tomorrow. The entire state of Georgia is officially under a state of emergency with all eyes on the coast. We're going to check in with meteorologist Melissa North coming up in just a bit on what to expect here at home. But first, let's get a live look from St. Augustine, Florida. That is about 3 hours south of Savannah. We see those waves crashing ashore right there and that camera hanging on as the winds